First of all, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're super duper close to 3,500 subs. And don't forget to do that, share with your friends. And if you have any opinions on the balance changes that I'm about to show, make sure to comment down below. Since for every tier, people look at it really, really differently. So I kind of try and look at everybody's perspective, but I don't necessarily understand everybody, so do make sure to comment down below. And I'm going to be showing you this fortress skin right now, which I forgot to include. It's pretty cool. At first, actually, this looks so different. Like, I thought this was a new hero at first. And, yeah, it just looks so different. It kind of reminded me of that one, like, Pokemon or something. It kind of just looks like a Pokemon. I don't know why, but it's a really, really cool fortress skin. And then there's this new Celeste Skin, too, that's coming out. It's pretty sick. They kind of have, like, certain themes going on, if you haven't noticed. Like, I think they have School Days Valk, School Days Taco. I know they have a bunch of other heroes I'm missing. And here's another look at the fortress skin, if you wanted to see it. All the new skins that they put out are pretty good, but let's go ahead and get right into the video. Yo, what is up, guys? Your Doomsday here, and today we are back again, but this time we're not playing. We're going to be looking over the update 4.7 new hero and item balance changes. They actually just released these, and if you've already seen these, it's just the same thing over, so if you don't want to waste time watching, you don't have to. But a lot of people, they don't really keep track of it or check like the Vainglory Twitter page and all that, so a lot of people, they actually do not see this. That's why I'm making this video. Pretty much, they just made a bunch of changes to heroes and stuff, and we'll be going over them. The first change that they made is with Baptiste. They increased the speed that his A ability, so that's like the thing that he throws. And also the range is increased now. So actually Baptiste was already a super solid jungler and top laner. I definitely think next patch I'm going to be playing him in the jungle utility. And you can play him CP2 if you want. And in threes he's definitely going to be super duper good. I definitely recommend trying him next patch. So Ishtar, they just destroyed Ishtar. Like, just killed the hero. They decreased every single thing on the perk, so now it does so much less damage. They nerfed the A, nerfed the B, nerfed the ult. Pretty much does almost no damage now. So he won't be banned now, but I do think he's gonna start getting picked up, but you have to know how to use him, I believe. Since it's not going to be an exceptionally strong hero where even if you're bad with the hero, you aren't going to be good with it. You definitely have to have some practice. And that's one thing that I've been noticing with all the new heroes. Like Warhawk, Leo, Ishtar. All of them, they require like some sort of skill to be able to play. Like, it's not just you go into a match and you play them. Like, I can't just jump into a match and play Warhawk because I have no experience on Warhawk. And it's kind of a tricky hero. Moving on, they did change Julep again. They nerfed him just because he's been in the meta again, or her. So the thing that I find kind of funny is like, what they did was they buffed Julep first, and then she became broken, and then they nerfed her back to how she was before, but she's still broken. So really she's been broken all along, but people just haven't really realized it. And I think that's mostly because Jewel's CP path kind of like overshadowed it. So more people like CP Jewel. But I definitely think Jewel will still be a solid top laner. Like, this isn't a huge nerf. It's just a minor thing. So she'll still be alright top. Now Kinetic. I think this is the most cancerous thing in the update. A Kinetic buff is so annoying. Kinetic in general is just such an annoying bot laner. Because once you get a hit on Kinetic, like, you physically, like, cannot kill it. Because she has a stun, dash, a crap load of damage. Plus the ult's pretty good now, too. So what they did was they made it so the perks, so whenever you use your A ability, you get those 4 stacks. Now they last longer, so if you don't use your A ability and land it, you still have your perk for a second longer. And also they do more damage again now. And they take less energy to use your A ability, which is really, really huge, since the biggest weakness that I found in Kinetic whenever laning against it was that Kinetic runs out of energy really, really quickly. Like, after the first, like, 4 minutes or so, Kinetic like has no choice but to recall because they're out of energy. But with this change, it's definitely going to make it so much easier. And I definitely think Kinetic will be a top tier bot laner. Koshka, I really, really like this Koshka change. They made it so the perk, whenever you use an ability, instead of getting a 2-second movement boost, it's going to last for 2.5 seconds. And also, they buffed the B ability, so whenever you use your B ability, you actually get a barrier, which many people overlook, actually. They don't really pay attention to that, but it's pretty nice. Now that barrier is going to last for longer, and it's going to do so much more. The barrier is going to be so much larger. I'm going to try out Koshka top lane this patch. Like, I've seen that before, I've tried it before. It's not too bad. The only weakness about Koshka is that once it reaches late game, you can't do too much. But I definitely still recommend it. In jungle, it's going to be pretty strong, especially with the Stormcrown Aftershock build. Like, that build is super duper strong, especially if you get fed. It's insane. There's this minor Lance buff. I don't think this will have any change. Lance is still hard hero to play. I don't think it's going to make it meta or anything. Just to get more energy, so instead of energy, actually, Lance uses the stamina. You get a little bit more per second, but that's not a huge deal. Now this Leo nerf. This is pretty crazy. They completely destroy Leo. Well, they didn't completely destroy him. He's still going to be solid, but I don't really see him being picked that much. Because first of all, they made him less tanky, so now he's like way more squishy. In early game too, he's weaker. I think that's the biggest weakness, since early game, if you could bully a Leo, it's hard to use him. And they also changed up the ult. If you use the ult to where you stunned him, you had a 350% weapon power ratio, meaning that like for a Sorrow Blade, you would do like so much damage, but now if you have damage and you ult, it's not going to do as much damage. So they're making you choose between either stun or damage. And they're making it less tanky, so I do think it can still be used if you get fed, but I personally do not like it as much. Now this Finn buff, they just buffed all of it. It just takes less energy. They didn't actually like change anything. They said that Finn was running out of energy too much, so that's why they lowered the cost. But I think Finn will be relatively the same. Moving on, they did give Rhyme a buff. And yeah, the movement speed increase has made Rhyme like kind of useless, since it's harder to get onto heroes, since now heroes are all faster and stuff. But they buffed his tankiness pretty much. Now, the fortified health that you get whenever you deal damage with your abilities and stuff, they increased it, and they increased how long it lasts. And they made it easier to land your A, so normally whenever Rhyme uses his A, it takes a second or two to like get to the enemy, and in that time it's pretty easy to just dodge it or get out of the way. But now it should be easier to land. For the ultimate, they just made it deal more damage. And I definitely think that Rhyme can be viable in 3v3. I still do not think he's going to be good in 5s. Just because in higher tiers, it's so easy to get like Dragon's Eye stacks and Breaking Point stacks off for Rhyme. And in teamfights, it's super hard for Rhyme, since he can get stunned really, really easily, and it's easy to chain stuns. It's just not the best. Now, this change I thought was the most interesting, and in my opinion, I think it's the worst change of the update. What they did was they chose to buff Reza. Yes, they chose to buff it. I already thought Reza was like one of the best top laners, but the reason why Reza has kind of fallen off is because other heroes like Anka and Jewel just completely shut it down and overshadow it. Like, there's no way that you're picking a Reza over a Jewel or Anka. But now that they're buffing Reza, it's going to be super duper obnoxious. They made the A ability deal more damage, and it already had an insane ratio for his perk. Now that they're making it do more damage just to land, is going to be pretty crazy. Also, they made his ultimate have lifesteal, or life gain. I think that's lifesteal, fortified life gain. Oh no, it's just fortified health. So now he's going to be like tanky whenever he ults, which is definitely not what they should have done in my opinion. Because he's a relatively easy hero to play, and if you get fed on him, it's so hard to deal with him. It's insane. Now this was much needed. Warhawk is such a lane bully if you know how to use him. But the most interesting thing was that they did not nerf the range. One of the most insane parts of Warhawk was that whenever he got his perk, his range was crazy. But instead what they did was they just made it deal less damage. And I actually really, really like this, since it kind of made him unique. Like, you have to play him right, and when you use your abilities, like, you have such a long range, but you have to know when to use your abilities and stuff. So I do think this is a good change, and I like that they're leaving the range the same, but just changing up the cooldowns a bit. Now, that's pretty much all the hero changes. Now onto the item. They only made one item change, which is the Spellfire. And this was much needed. If you're playing any CP hero, Spellfire was required. Like, if you didn't build Spellfire, you're like throwing. Now they nerfed it, so the damage over time does less burn damage, I think is what they call it. The Spellfire damage. But they made it cost less. Pretty much, that's why people wouldn't get Spellfire first, was because you needed crystal power to make the burn deal more damage. So that's why it was like second item and stuff. It wasn't really that much of a first item on some heroes. But now that they changed it up, we might start seeing some builds without a Spellfire. Like, we might start seeing like double Shatterglass, things like that. Maybe Broken Myth a little bit, or Spellfire a little bit later. So it shouldn't be as much necessary, but I still think most heroes will build it, because it's still going to be a solid item, and it costs less too, so it's not going to be that bad. Now for the talents, they only made one change, which is the Miho legendary. And I really don't like what they do with the talent balancing. I think there's so many broken talents, like, just playing, like, I don't even really play Blitz, but I still know, like, what talents are broken. Like, I'm sure I'm missing some, but, like, to name some of them, just like Kensei Epic talent is pretty broken. So is Lorelei Epic is Cancer. What else? Silvernail Legendary is annoying. There's a lot of strong talents that they definitely need to change up. A lot of the legendary talents, they weren't even good, but I'm pretty sure legendary talents were supposed to be good. Instead, like, a bunch of rare and epic talents are like the best talents, and I definitely don't think it should be that way. That's it for the balance changes. Now what I'm gonna do is, what I'm gonna do is just look through the heroes, see what they didn't change and what they should have changed. Looking at the heroes, I think Adagio is in a super duper strong spot. Like, CP Adagio is solid, but just super duper underrated. And I do think it'll start being played more next update. Moving on. I can't believe they didn't nerf Anka. Like, they buffed Reza, but they refused to nerf Anka. Like, Anka's relatively broken in my opinion. And I don't get why people don't play it more, but I do think they should have nerfed that a little bit. I'm pretty sure Baron needs a buff. Like, Baron is so weak early, and any single top laner can just completely destroy a Baron. It's crazy. They definitely needed to buff that. Blackfeather's in a super duper solid spot too. I think Kinetic can maybe use a small nerf. Now, no Catherine nerf really, really shocked me. Like, Catherine needs a nerf. It's pretty insane. Catherine's so broken. You could literally play Catherine in any position. Just yesterday, we had a Catherine mid lane, and we pretty much won the match, but our team just threw. But we would have won if my team had a brain, but it was much unfortunate. I do think Catherine does need a buff. Or nerf. Why did I say? No, definitely do not buff Catherine. Please nerf that. Now, moving on. What other heroes? Idris could use a small early game buff. Let's see. Kestrel did not get a nerf. I do think Kestrel needed just a tiny bit of nerf on her auto attacks late game. Because she scaled super duper hard, and once you reach late game, like, it's impossible to, like, beat a Kestrel. It does so much damage. And it's such a lane bully too. Like, in lane, it does so much damage. It's just so annoying to lane against. Now, the Kinetic buff I did not really like that much, just because I hate playing against Kinetic. But actually, in my opinion, almost all the roams are in a good spot. Like, all of them can be used well. They're all solid, in my opinion. The mid laners are pretty good. There's no Miho nerf. And the reason for that is because in lower tiers, like, Miho is not strong at all, really. But once you get to higher tiers, it's going to be banned because it's super duper strong if you know how to play him. Or her. Moving on. Let's see, I did not like the Reza buff. But Scarf did not get a nerf. Scarf is pretty strong mid laner. I definitely recommend that. So now, that's about it for the heroes. Now what I'm going to be doing is showing you the new skins that are coming out. So one of the big ones is Finn. Let's see. Nope, that's not the right place. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, here it is. I was actually in the middle of watching it. I haven't watched the full thing yet, but it looks pretty cool from the beginning. Let's see. It looks so different. Like, at first when I watched this, I thought this was a new hero or something. Looks pretty unique. They do a super duper good job with all the new skins. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But that's going to be about it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more of these. That's going to be about it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to share with your friends. And see you guys next time.